Hi there. Starting today and over the next week, I would like to share some thoughts and some concepts and some tools which are related to the big transformation of society and organizations we are in. Let me start with some conceptual thoughts. It's the weekend, so let me be a little bit philosophical today and then go more into concepts and tools over the next days. Chances are probably high that you are going to throw up by me using those words like disruption, transformation, digitization maybe, because these words are so overused, and yet I need to tighten the thumb screws a little bit and talk about disruption and digitization, because technology is the big driver, and I don't want to talk so much about the big themes which are in everybody's mouths now, like robotics or artificial intelligence or bioengineering. I would like to go more into networking and what that means for collaboration. But before I do that, let me quote the great Peter Drucker, who already in 1992 in his seminal article, The New Society of Organizations in Harvard Business Review, wrote, quote, "Every few hundred years throughout Western history, a sharp transformation happens. In a matter of decades, society rearranges itself, its worldview, its basic values, its political structures, its arts, its key institutions. 50 years later, a new world exists, and people born into that world cannot even imagine the world in which their grandparents lived and into which their own parents were born," unquote. So using the language of my dear friend Mary Alice Arthur, the question arises 28 years after this visionary statement. Mind you, the World Wide Web was just doing its baby steps, just introduced 3 years before. Are we still in the beginning or in the middle of this development? We are definitely not in the end of this development. And being a little bit more specific, I believe we are still in the beginning. So if we are in the beginning, are we in the beginning of the beginning, or are we in the middle of the beginning, or are we at the end of the beginning? I would probably say we are at the end of the beginning, and there are a lot of indicators for that. First of all, in society, the dark forces trying really to fight back the last fight against the forces of the light, and there are a lot of forces of the light. If we see all the movements that are blossoming everywhere in the world of young people, I'm really optimistic and hopeful. And then if you look at industry and organizations, there have been so many experiments over the last 10 years as I've never have seen, with new management methods, agile work processes, radical new ways of incentivizing and motivating people, non-hierarchical structures, what have you. And in general, there's talk about a different mindset a lot. If you can work with a different mindset, if you can change your mindset so quickly, I'm not quite sure, but that's a different topic. So for today, I would just like to ask you the question, what are the big disruptors nowadays, and which big disruptors do you expect in the next 10 years to come? What will have another big impact on our society and our organizations and the way we collaborate together?